Good morning. Om Asato Ma Sadgamayo Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamayo Mrityorma Amritangamayo Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om. Lead us from the unreal to the real. Lead us from darkness to light. Lead us from death to immortality. Om, peace, peace, peace. The subject of my talk today is the power of awe. The subject matter is very short, that means awe, A-W-E. And I have a special reason to choose this subject. The reason is this, that we do not really pay attention to certain things that happen to us time to time, or probably to some almost every day on certain occasions. And awe is one of them. And awe has got a really certain effect on us. And we do not care for that. And recently, very recently, in the subject of positive psychology, the awe has been studied. And it has been found that awe has some good effect on us. That means it is good to experience awe. So this I came across in a newsletter, health newsletter that I received. And some of you also must be subscribing some of the newsletters or such other information you must be following. So awe is a new subject of study from the point of view of positive psychology. So it is mentioned in that small news item. It was not an article, just a informational, what is called in a small box in the page. It was mentioned like this: the power of awe. So you should make a point having awe-inspiring experiences, especially in these times of distractions, worries, and distress. Some ways to focus a part of each day on inspiring awe, including keeping a portfolio. Portfolio means you should have a stock of items to which you can refer to be awed. That means if you see that or listen to that, you will what is called the experience of awe will be uh, inspired in you. You will experience the awe either virtually or on paper. That means keep a portfolio either virtually or on paper. Nowadays, of course, it is easy to get this type of virtual pictures on internet. That means if you just go to certain websites, or even just on the screensaver also, you can have this type of pictures. So these awe-inspiring quotes and pictures for practicing meditation or similar mind-centering activities and bringing a sense of wonder to small daily things that often get overlooked, such as a bumblebee exploring a flower, a grandchild's delight, and or an elegantly crafted piece of furniture. The point is that it should draw your attention and keep the attention arrested for some time. And that is called awe. So let us go and see what they have found out or they are saying at present about awe. So what does it mean? I had the opportunity of going to Grand Canyon once, and I was visiting San Diego, and there was one Swami. He was in charge at that time. His name was Swami Ishtananda. Now, of course, he has moved to St. Petersburg. So he invited me to give the Sunday talk and enticed me to come to his center by saying that if you come here, I shall take you to Grand Canyon. Though I am here now, of course, for more than 30 years, but at that time, probably about 20 or 25 years I was in this country, but I did not have the opportunity of going to Grand Canyon. That means it is very inaccessible. Inaccessible in a sense that you have to go to probably certain place, and from there you have to take bus or you have to drive. So all those paraphernalias were there. So I did not venture to that. But when the Swami gave that opportunity, I just accepted that, and he took me to Grand Canyon. And it took about 1.5 days. That means we had to stop in between somewhere, spend the night, and then actually we went to Grand Canyon. And there are selected places from where you can see Grand Canyon, a real canyon. And that was really mind-boggling, which is an experience of awe. That means many of you have seen, by seeing Grand Canyon, there's no doubt a sense of awe will come to everybody's mind. And this is a very, what is called, established situation. That means anybody, that means it does not require that somebody will have to tell you that, did you feel awe? You have to ask him whether you feel awe. That everybody will say that, yes, I have never seen this type of thing anywhere or in my life. So this is actually awe. And I also remember when I first experienced awe in my life, that means as a child. This was like this, that means I was traveling from the plain to the Himalayas. That there is a place called Dehradun. Some of you, those who are from India might be knowing, might be familiar with that name, Dehradun. It is a hill station. And now, of course, it is a capital of the state of Uttarakhand, I think. And so I was traveling there very young, that means 4 or 5 years old. And I have never been I have never taken train travel, or at least in my experience, there's no train travel. I might have traveled when very young without any memory. But that was the first time that I remember that I traveled by train. And as we are approaching, that the train was approaching the Himalayas, from the window, for a child to see the outside world from the window itself is an awe. But that scenery, that means when I saw the Himalayan range, from a distance, it looked as if a cloud is rising from the horizon. That means it is a dark blue and hazy, and slowly it is coming up, and as we are approaching the mountain, and suddenly actually saw that whole expanse is covered by that what is called that cloud-like thing. Then I realized that it is not cloud, it is actually a mountain which has suddenly come out from the plain. Because Himalayas, suddenly it pops up and the height is immense. Suddenly the height looks very immense. So that creates awe. And I definitely still remember, that is why I'm saying that was probably the experience of awe in my life. Some of you definitely will remember the first experience of your awe in this way. Seeing the ocean and many other scenes and sceneries actually can create awe in our mind. The important part is that now it is discovered this experience of awe is really what is called beneficial to from the point of view of health of mind. And probably if the mind is healthy, naturally there's a possibility that the body also will be healthy. That means in that way, it is a very helpful, healthy experience to have an experience of awe. So it is like this. Awe is not really a mere wonder. That means we wonder many things. That means which we suddenly discover or see something they are very wonderful. We can see. That means if you're saying a picture or painting, we wonder. That means, oh, how actually it was painted and all those things. But the experience is very fleeting. That means it does not remain for a long time. But an experience of awe will be what is called very deep, and it will remain for a long time, and may remain forever. That means whenever an occasion comes, you'll remember that experience. It is also does not. It is also not fear as such. Fear actually is frightening. That means we try to distract from that. But awe actually attracts. That is the difference between fear and awe. You will like to see continuously that scene which actually has created awe, and try to figure out how it has come. And all it may happen that thoughts will stop also. It happens like that. So it is both. That means it is very powerful and it is really wonderful, and it creates a sort of stoppage of our thought. So then it is said that you feel it when you are fascinated by a spectacle, exceptional and extraordinary. So from the point of view of seeing, actually it is being said, seeing is not the only source of awe. There may be sound also, or it may be mixture of scene, what is called sight and sound also. There are presentations, where sight and sound is used for entertainment purposes. So this awe may be created by sight and sound also. I can give you one example. Those who have gone to Belur Math and have sat in the evening prayer, that means Vesper service. And slowly, it is in the evening, that means at the juncture of day and night, that means at the time of sunset. Time actually varies a little bit, half an hour in summer, between summer and winter. And many people, that means nowadays, of course, because of COVID, nobody can enter, but in normal time, the hall, Nath Mandir as it is called, the sitting place, is really full of devotees. That means many people come to enjoy or experience that Vesper service. And in fact, when it starts, and you'll find that definitely it is an awe-inspiring experience. Light, sound, and also the place, that means inside the Nath Mandir, that means hall itself, it creates an awe. So that is also a very unique experience. Those who have experienced this Vesper service in Belur Math will remember that experience. I have seen many people talking about that. That means probably the person has gone only once in Belur Math, had the opportunity of seeing, witnessing the Vesper service once. That will be what is called a lifetime experience for that person. So these are the what is called examples how it is an extraordinary thing, exceptional thing, and also it is a spectacle definitely, and it may be a mixture of spectacle as well as sound, as its grand scale holds you in a mesmerizing grip. That means mesmerizing aspect is the most important aspect of awe. That means it will grab your attention for some time. That will forget surrounding things. And in that way, mind will be concentrated. You realize it's nothing like anything you have ever seen before. That is actually the experience of awe. Perhaps awe can be explained nearly as well as it can be experienced. This is the quality of awe not shared by any other positive feeling. So this feeling, there are many feelings. That means we feel sorrow, we feel happy, we feel angry. So there are many emotions in our life, we know. But awe is a very special type of experience. Now, how actually it originates? That means originate means historically. Now, as I told you, that some researches are being done. So when actually people or human beings started feeling awe. So today, that means at present, the concept is that in the early ages of humanity or human beings, there was an experience of what is called a leader or king or of God. That means vast nature is there. There must be somebody who is actually controlling these things. So this vastness and a controller of that type of sense actually created a sense of awe in the mind of human beings. Other beings we do not know because they do not talk, and we cannot say whether they are being they experience awe or not. But for human beings, actually, that might be the origin of first awe in the human mind. That means by seeing the vastness of the nature, or somebody, that means human beings see each other, there must be somebody who is actually controlling it, God, or there must be somebody like king who actually controls everything. That type of thought actually brought the sense of awe, the emotion of awe in our minds in ancient times. So then we see that everybody, it is possible, capable of feeling awe. So if you just, what is called, experience awe, you can really drive yourself to experience awe. That is the point. That means your mind, you can really plan to experience awe. That is possible. That is the what is called important part, because it is useful, it is beneficial for the mind. So if we experience awe time to time, so it will be good for you. So naturally you like to create awe for yourself. Create in a sense, that means you have to know where I shall find awe. As I told you, that means we cannot travel in train every day, and or we cannot go to the Grand Canyon every day. So how to experience awe, that is also important to know. So there are certain ways. That means first we have to discover that whether we have that we are capable of experiencing that type of experience first. First is that whether I can feel positive emotional connection to some people or music or art or nature, and that creates a sort of wonder. That means that experience should be so unique that I shall feel in wonder, what is this? And in that way, if I'm capable to have that type of wonder, sense of wonder in my mind, then it is a positive sign that I shall be able to feel or experience awe. It happens, people, there are people who have seen Mahatma Gandhi for once only. There are people, that means Mahatma Gandhi used to travel when he was alive from in different places, and he used to travel in a train and in the lowest class, and in every station people used to gather, and he used to come out, stand on the what is called the door of the compartment, and he used to wave or say a few words to the crowd. So those who have seen Mahatma Gandhi in that way, forever they remember that they have seen Mahatma Gandhi, and the situation and circumstances also they remember, and that creates awe in their mind. That means the personality is such. Personality means Mahatma Gandhi was not a like a film star, not in appearance he was not very attractive, but definitely his influence, his person and his actions, that means what he used to do for the country, his speeches that they used to listen, and also definitely the movement that he had created had great effect on the mind. In that way, already their mind was prepared to experience awe when they saw Mahatma Gandhi. So this is for a person, we can say that experience of awe may come. That may come, especially, definitely, as I told you, when we have the opportunity of seeing some notable person. There are notable persons in different areas also. I know one person who was a monk in our in Sacramento Center. He before he became a monk, he studied at Princeton. That means in Princeton, Albert Einstein used to live. So he used to say that I had once opportunity of seeing him giving a talk. That means as an auditor, he attended one of his classes and he had the opportunity of seeing him. So he used to say that, well, he was just like an ordinary person, the way we see in the picture. and he used to talk in such a way that it is not very impressive. His talks were not really very impressive, but because of his fame and what is called other achievements, it was an experience to see him. That is the point. So these are the by seeing a person or listening to a person also, the emotion of awe may be created. Music also is there. So there are definitely a beautiful composition in Western music, which actually creates awe in our minds. So people go to listen to what is called a different, what is called presentation of music. Of course, I am not an expert in Western music, but definitely there are a musical presentation of Beethoven, then Mahler. So they are really awe-inspiring. And what to say about what is called listening to those music in an what is called a beautiful auditorium or opera house. So they are really an experience itself. Then, of course, art. There are pictures, and people go all the way to what is called different places to see waterpark, which are very famous. Mona Lisa, as you know, is very famous. So people go to Paris to see that picture. And when they say that is an experience of life, that means they cannot forget that. Of course, nature is very handy. Especially in this country, I can say that nature is very, very handy. So you can just go out, drive 25 miles or 30 miles from anywhere, go to the ocean. And ocean changes every day. That means, and also during the, throughout the day, that means it is in the morning, the scene is something, in the daytime it is different, then in the evening it is different. So in that way, always changing scene you can experience. And also on the other side, especially in our place, we can go to the Sierras and see the mountains also. There are many beautiful spots, and also they are marked. That means scenic spot. In that way also you can stop and see the different scenes and experience awe. So that is why people are very fond of going outside. That means to see or experience this awe, which actually uh, has good effect on the mind. Then, of course, the some ideas also you see that creates experience of awe. That means, you know, there are many awe-inspiring ideas in astronomy or astrophysics that are coming, that we are slowly coming to know. That means the pictures, you know, from the satellite pictures that are coming. So these pictures actually create awe in our mind. So we never saw Earth in that way, or the Milky Way in that way, or the stars in different regions in a way. In that way, they are very inspiring and creates awe in our mind. Then, of course, these are the what is called awe that one can experience in our life, and it is said that experience of awe or the capacity or ability to feel awe increases with age. So probably in childhood, we do not pay much that attention. That is why we don't discover the awe aspect of the nature. It may happen like that. But as we grow in age, actually, we know how astounding the thing is. So in that way, awe can, awe, experiences awe makes deep impression in our minds. Now, there are other things that are there, which is very helpful in our awe, and that what is what actually will be the effect of awe. Suppose I experience awe. So it has been studied and found that, well, yes, a person who has experiences awe, it becomes very compassionate. That means you will be humble and compassionate also. That is also very helpful in our spiritual life. So if you are compassionate, naturally you feel good for others. That means you will feel the sentiments of others, and that is helpful for yourself and also for the other person. And also humble. That means humility, humbleness is also good for one's own personality. Another aspect has been found in being what is called in those who are experiencing awe is that they become more charitable. That means that they become kind. That means that attitude becomes very kind. And that is also a very helpful quality in our nature. Then also it creates curiosity. We need to know more. That is another aspect. Suppose, a curiosity in a sense that means in nature, as you know, curiosity, definitely it is obvious that we shall be curious to know how these things happen. Suppose I had been to, as I told you, to Grand Canyon. So naturally, I would like to know how it has happened, in what way, how many years actually it took the river Colorado to cut this, what is called these canyons and all those things. So in that way, curiosity will come. And that is another aspect. And we become what is called uncertainty. That means we try to know something. If you do not know, we become what is called more interested in knowing things, which may be called less tolerant to uncertainty. That means we want to uncover it. That means we see something which we are not which is not understandable, we try to understand it. So we become impatient to know it. That actually is the driving force behind the scientists, you can say, those who are trying to discover unfolding things. That means they are curious to know. That means, oh, these things are happening, and they try to know more. And in that way, new discoveries are coming. And when we are struck by awe, we lose the sense of time also. That means for the time being, actually for the time being, the sense of time actually pauses. That is a common experience. So these are the effects of awe. And finally, there is one effect which is very important for us, that there is a sort of feeling of sense of spiritual elevation. That means we feel spiritually emboldened also. It creates great awe, creates the sense of who actually created it. So we try to figure out, and then if we are really positive in our spiritual life, then we think that there must be somebody who is really behind it. As Einstein has said that God does not play dice with this universe. So that is the sense of awe. That means there must be some mind behind it. So that is an awe. And he tried to discover it. That means scientists are trying to discover that how actually the play of this universe is going on by discovering certain rules and what is called theories, and all those things are coming up. So this is the what is called this this proves, or this gives a conclusion that one becomes intolerant to uncertainty. One tries to discover what is behind it. So now these are the aspects of awe. So how actually this has helped in our life in different places, that will be interesting to know. So in the life of Sri Ramakrishna, those who have gone through the life of Sri Ramakrishna know that when he was a child, he used to live in a village, Kamarpukur, which is about 60 or 70 or maybe 75 miles west or northwest of Kolkata. And that village, of course, now is very accessible, but in his time it was not that accessible. So it was a remote village, and very little connection was with the cities. So he grew up there. And when he was very young, that means at the age of 7 or 8 or something like that, he was going through, passing through or crossing a paddy field. Paddy field, you know, in that area, paddy is grown during this monsoon season. When there is a rainy season, the field is cultivated and paddy is grown there to get rice. So the paddy fields are different shapes are there. That means there are small barriers to hold the water, and over those barriers there are very narrow path, and one can really cross from one place to another by walking over those narrow paths. all it is called in Bengali, and there must be some other term in other languages. So he was passing through, and he was going somewhere from his village, and he had a little basket of puffed rice, snack, and in that way he was going from one place to another. And he was in company of others also, he was not alone. So suddenly he saw that the sky in front of him was covered with dark black cloud. In monsoon season it happens, that means you cannot imagine how dark it is. As I told you that the mountain from a distance looks dark, so it is, the darkness is almost that intense when the monsoon season is there. That is, it is very water-bearing cloud, very much full of water. So he saw that cloud, and suddenly a flock of crane passed through that. And that was a unique scene. That means that scene brought awe in his mind, and his mind was very sensitive. And he said that I actually looked at that scene, and suddenly actually I lost my consciousness also. That means the effect was so deep that I lost my consciousness. So in that way, he fell on the ground. Of course, the others were there around him, so they revived him. So the point is that the effect of awe in his sensitive mind was so deep that he fell unconscious on the ground. So this is an experience he has told later on to his devotees, that this is a natural scene that created awe in his mind. And there are other occasions also in Sri Ramakrishna's life that we see, when he became a priest in the Kali temple, as you know, and he became curious. That means the image of Kali in Dakshineshwar is really very lively. Even today, if you see the picture, you'll see that it looks that the face of the Mother Kali is what is called, have some sort of as if it is conscious. The consciousness is reflected. Probably Sri Ramakrishna saw it, so that effect is still there. That is why it is like this, that whatever it may be. So when he used to worship, so naturally it is a worship service. There are some rituals that he used to perform. Many priests do that, and they do it just as a what is called as a routine job. But Sri Ramakrishna actually became very curious that what I am doing, whether it has got any effect. That means I am praying and offering these things, whether Mother Kali is listening or accepting my offering. This is a very unique, what is called unusual ideas that he had in his mind. But he actually had this type of thing, and he wanted to go further from that. Further in a sense that he wanted to check whether actually my offerings are accepted and whether prayers are listened. In that way, he became very curious. And as you know, in that part of India, there are two different saints who are very famous for having the vision of Mother Kali. Kamalakanto, the saint singer, and also Ramprasad. He was also a great saint singer. So he used to, he had the opportunity of knowing their lives, and many songs also he had committed to memory. So in that way, he used to sing, and used to, singing means, that means he used to pray to Divine Mother to have a vision. And ultimately we see that after some time he had the vision. Vision in a sense, that means as if the mother actually became alive, that means became conscious in front of him. And then actually he fell unconscious at his feet, at her feet. And that was the experience that he had for the first time. And that experience became a very common thing for him. That means because it was so deep and he cultivated it so often, that ultimately we see in his life that experience is to come. It is an awe, but probably it is what is called further than awe, that we can say. So the spiritual experiences definitely starts with awe. There's no doubt about that. And those who are lucky, like Sri Ramakrishna, can have the what is called ultimate experiences of spirituality. And in Sri Ramakrishna's life, if you read that he used to go into samadhi, as it is called. Samadhi is also an experience. That means Sri Ramakrishna used to describe So somebody used to ask him that, well, in Samadhi, what do you see, what do you experience? So he used to say that, well, in Samadhi, actually, mind actually gets completely withdrawn from the outside senses, outside the body, and my mind soars into a higher plane where I experience what is called the oneness. And not only oneness, there is a sort of sight also. Sight means that an experience of light also is there. So in that way, he used to describe. For ordinary person, that is a sort of description only. But for Sri Ramakrishna, it was an experience. That means the way we see things, objects. So in the same way, actually, he is to see, and his mind is to absorb that experience. So this started with awe and ended with this, what is called spiritual experiences. So we can say that awe is a step towards spiritual realization also. And we can utilize it for this purpose. So now, there are other occasions or other instances that I can give you, and it is worth remembering, because by only remembrance, you can, by sitting in your room, actually you can experience, or otherwise you have to go out, which is not possible nowadays, or it is not advised nowadays because of the situation, especially in our place. Today I saw that the what is called the air quality is hazardous. So from our place is very open, that those who have seen our place, from coming from one room to the kitchen also, it requires that we have to walk through outside. So we have to use what is called masks that is advised. So the point is that now it is not possible, or there are occasions when it will not be possible, or it is not possible to experience awe by sitting in the room or sitting in our own place. So there must be some ways that we can devise to experience awe. But before that, let me discuss a few other celebrated instances of awe. One is that in Kurukshetra war, those who have read Mahabharata or Bhagavad Gita, introduction of Bhagavad Gita, I will see that Arjuna was struck with awe when he saw first this armies. That means in those days, they used to gather in a big field, and just like Valley Forge or something like that, and then they used to start war. That means there are discipline, that means rules and regulations were there. They used to fight only during the daytime. So it was in those days, there was no total war. That means destruction was very limited. Destruction was between what is called fighters only. That means you can kill others because they are, two enemies are fighting, but you do not disturb ordinary people who are not in the field. So in that way, he was awed by seeing the armies on two sides, and especially the opposite side. That means his enemies had a bigger army. And naturally, he was very much afraid. And he asked Krishna, that means his charioteer, and he was a general of his side, that means leader of his side. So he said that, well, you see that I feel that it is not good to wage the war, because I see my relatives and friends and all those on the other side. It is not good to kill them. And Krishna actually understood that he is definitely under the spell of fear, that is why he's seeing. But this war needed to be waged. So he naturally gave that sermon of what is called Bhagavad Gita, and revived his courage and strength in his mind, and ultimately the war was fought. But during the course of the what is called this giving the sermon, there was an occasion when, to impress upon Arjuna, Lord Krishna had to show his own what is he, which is known as Vishwarup Darshan. That means he saw that Arjuna saw Lord Krishna. That means as a friend or relative, he was driving the chariot, a charioteer, but suddenly he saw the real nature of Lord Krishna in Vishwarup Darshan. That means suddenly he became so huge, and the scenery was so what is called unexpected. and unseen things. That means as if all the enemies are actually, he is devouring. In that way, actually, the sin came to his mind, and he almost fell unconscious at the feet of uh, Lord Krishna. So that is what is called sin of awe. At the same time, it is very spiritual also. That means seeing Lord Krishna in that what is called in that form is definitely an experience of spirituality. So this is one of the celebrated experience of awe that most of us know, Vishwarup Darshan. Then there is a small example, a small in a sense, not like Vishwarup Darshan, but definitely it is an what is called celebrated experience in the life of Swami Vivekananda also. Swami Vivekananda, as you know, was when he was a college student, he studied Western philosophy, but he was a real seeker. Seeker means he wanted to know whether God exists or not, and if he exists, whether he can be seen or experienced. All those questions actually bothered him, and he was following that. That means he was trying to come to a conclusion whether really God exists or not, and whether he can be experienced. So he was very serious. So at that time, he came across many spiritual personalities whom he approached and asked that question, whether they have seen God or they can show God. So he did not get a good answer from anybody. And ultimately, one of his college professors told him that, well, if you want to get an answer to your question, you can go to Sri Ramakrishna, who used to live at that time on the northern outskirts of Calcutta. So he went there and used to visit him often, and then the relationship grew, but still he was a sort of agnostic. That means he did not believe. He thought Sri Ramakrishna to be a little bit eccentric person. That happens. That means those who seek God are little eccentric, in a sense that this is not a common pursuit for a human being. That means we expect that a human being will be like a family man. He will be achieving something in his life, earn money, have, and all those things, and he will prosper, or whatever it may be. He will live a life of the way others live. But eccentric means, that means he did not live the life of common man. So he thought Sri Ramakrishna, it was his estimation that Sri Ramakrishna was a little bit mad man, but a good man in a sense. That means he's seeking God, talks about God. So, and also he did not believe in what is called images, representation of God in images like Mother Kali or Lord Shiva or Lord Vishnu, like that. He did not believe on those things and worship. The reason was that at that time, he entered into Brahmo Samaj, became a member of Brahmo Samaj, and Brahmo Samaj actually they had to pledge that God cannot be seen, God is without form, but he has attributes in a sense. That means he is benevolent, compassionate, loving, all those qualities are there, but you cannot see God. So naturally, they, what is called, degraded worship of images as a representative of God. That means thinking the image as God was really a foolish thing. So he was under that impression. And as you know, as I told you the story of Sri Ramakrishna, that means Sri Ramakrishna, the vision of Mother Kali by being worshipped. And later on, by the time he became a teacher, he had vision of different gods and goddesses that we see when you read his life. So he was an authority of that, of what is called God really had form. That means God is with form. He has experience, so he was an authority. But he could not impress Narendranath about that. So once it happened that Narendranath, at that time, Swami Vivekananda had not become monk, so he had his pre-monastic name. So he was undergoing a very financial difficulties. That means his father died, and his father left a big debt, and also there was no money to feed his family, and he was without any job. So the situation was very tough, and he was seeking job, but he was not finding any, and family was sometimes starving. So in that way, when he was completely frustrated, it occurred to him that Sri Ramakrishna talks to Divine Mother. And if he can really pray for me or ask Divine Mother to solve my problems, that means at least give me a job or give food to my family, it will be, because Sri Ramakrishna used to talk, he can, on my behalf, he can pray to Divine Mother and my problem will be solved. So with that intention, he came to Sri Ramakrishna and explained that, well, please, sir, do something for me. Can you pray for me to Divine Mother so that I can get rid of this, get a solution of my problems? Sri Ramakrishna said that, well, I cannot really pray for material things to Divine Mother. I never pray for that. I pray for spiritual things. That is, I don't have any interest and I cannot pray. And I am sure that Mother will not listen to that. And not only that, he said that despite that, whenever I pray for you, Mother does not listen. That means it is not that I am not kind to you, I pray for you, but Mother is not listening. And then he himself said, Sri Ramakrishna said that, well, the reason is that you do not believe in Divine Mother. That means you do not believe in Mother Kali, God with form. So how actually she will respond? So then he said that, well, you do one thing. That means you are so, Narendranath was so in such a dire situation that whatever Sri Ramakrishna said, it was, he was ready to follow. So Sri Ramakrishna took that opportunity and told him that, well, you do one thing. You yourself go to the temple, Kali temple, and in front of the image of the Divine Mother, you pray whatever you want. That means you ask whatever you want. And I assure you, she will listen to your prayer. So that is an opportunity. And he went to the temple. And after going to the temple, actually things changed completely. He was awestruck. That means he felt that that image of Mother Kali is living, full of consciousness. And he actually was so awe-inspired. That means his speech did not come out of his lips, and he fell down. Then when he regained consciousness, he prayed for divine qualities, that means knowledge, devotion, and all those things. And then he came out, and Sri Ramakrishna was waiting outside, and he said that, well, did you ask what you had wanted? Then actually he came into consciousness. That means that awe, the influence of awe actually passed through his mind. That means when Sri Ramakrishna asked about what he had asked from Divine Mother. So he forgot. So this awe actually worked on him and he forgot, and the spiritual experience was so deep that he could not utter or ask for material things. This happened 3 times. That means Sri Ramakrishna scolded him. That means you could not manage yourself. That means you could not manage your awe by seeing that image. So actually he could not. That means Narayana could not. 3 times actually he could not. And ultimately he accepted that God can be with form. That was the acceptance of Swami Vivekananda, Narendranath, that God can be, God can have form also. So this is a very instructive incident that we find in the life of Sri Ramakrishna and Narendranath, that means Swami Vivekananda. That means that God can be seen or that God can be experienced. And this all actually, of course, when we see images, we do not really, we are not that, what is called, that type of pure in mind, or we are not that type of, we do not have that type of sanskara. So when we see images, probably we see a picture or say wooden image or stone image in which actually it is made. So, but still, the experiences of the past or the stories behind those things actually can help us in experiencing awe. And that is also a great advantage to us. And in India, especially, you will see that there are many, many temples scattered all over the country. And there are temples where the worships are done since ages. That means during the time of what is called Shankaracharya, or even before that, actually, the temple of Vishwanath, that means in Varanasi. Nobody knows actually when the worship of Lord Vishwanath was started in Varanasi. So those, and that is being done without any, what is called, without any stop for thousands of years. So naturally that creates an awe, though we see when you go to the temple and touch the stone image of what is called Lord Vishwanath. But that, what is called remembrance, what it is, and the stories behind it, actually when it we go there, actually we can experience that. That is a great advantage of pilgrimage. Pilgrimage means, that means we know the stories behind, or we come to know about the stories behind, and in that way that inspires awe in our minds. You know, there is a temple called Dwarka, which is a Lord Krishna's temple. As you know, that Krishna actually migrated with his clan to the westernmost part. After that, actually, there is the ocean, that means Arabian Sea. So he migrated and lived there. So, and near that, in a place, Prabhas, actually, he left his body also. So that place is very sacred, and there's a temple of Lord Krishna, which was erected by one of his grandsons. That means Padmanabha, I think. His name was Padmanabha. And that temple remained there for a long time, but naturally, because time to time things get destroyed, but again it was revived. In that way, there are structures, probably 6 or 7 structures are there on the same place where the original temple was established, and there is, at present, there is an image of Lord Krishna which is worshipped there. That worship is also being conducted for quite some time, maybe 400 and 500 years since Vallabhacharya. And in that that school, that the system of worship is like that. And in that system, there is a custom. That means the temple does not remain open from sunrise to sunset. It is not like that. They open for a few hours in the morning, then few hours in the middle, or what is called maybe about 10 o'clock or 12 o'clock, 10 or 11 o'clock, then about 12 or 1 o'clock another time, then again another in the afternoon there with 3 or 4 o'clock, then again in the evening, and since evening to night probably it will remain open for a longer period. So these are the timings of these type of temples. And devotees actually gather to see the image. And the images are really decorated in different ways in different times. Early morning, the decoration is something. There are prescribed ways of decorating. So in that way, the priest decorated, and people are very eager to see that type of what is called decoration of the image. Mangala, as it is called, at the early morning, it is done with songs and what is called Vesper service and all those things that creates itself an awe. And that is the great advantage of seeing or going to a temple. If you see the image, actually in different decorations and different type of worships, actually that will attract your mind. Those who are believers, for them, it is a very good way of what is called experiencing awe. Now we believe that ultimately we shall be able also to see the image in just like Swami Vivekananda in a lively condition, but rarely it happens. But definitely the experience itself that we have, even when you see the stone images in decorated condition, that actually very helpful for us. That is why people go, and some people actually stay in places of pilgrimage in Varanasi or in Vrindavan, and in such other places of pilgrimage. People actually live there so that they can go to the temple at the appointed hour and see the image. And especially in Vrindavan, there are ways. That means they are called Jhanki Darshan. That means they will show the image in a very beautifully decorated condition, but the what is called the there will be a screen in front of that, a parda as it is called. That means a sort of covering will be there, and that is drawn open, and then actually people will rush to see the image, and it will be almost lively. Then after some time, maybe after 5 or 10 minutes, again actually it will be closed. And that type of Jhanki Darshan actually is also very effective because the mind gets concentrated on the image. So these are the effect of awe that we can experience. That is the great advantage that we see in awe. Now, these are the aspects of awe that in our time we can experience. And the point is that at the beginning I told you that it has been discovered now. That means it is coming out now that this is a positive experience from the point of view of what is called psychology. Try to experience awe. That is why we create a sort of what is called shrine in our house. We cannot go to a place of pilgrimage. We cannot go to the temple every day. So naturally, in our house, if a little picture is there that reminds of the image or the place from where it has come, and that little bit of awe is there, and in that way, the worship service and all those things create awe in our mind, which is very beneficial from the point of mental health. That is the point, because we do not want to do something which will be injurious to us. So awe, probably experience of awe might have thought that fear and all those things are not good for us. But awe is not fear. It gives a positive experience to us. And to create this type of experience is really beneficial for us. So we ourselves can create, and in that way, we can maintain or take the advantage of good mental conditions. So these things I had in our mind to share with you, because I just came, as I told you at the beginning, that awe is a positive spiritual, psychological experience, which has got behind that there is definitely spiritual intonations. For ordinary persons, those who are not spiritual, definitely it is good. But those who are really spiritual seekers, those who want to have spiritual experience or want to live spiritual or religious life, they can take advantage of this emotion, which can be created. That means you can really create your own awe, or you know where actually you will find awe, and that experiences is really good for our mind. So these things I had in my mind to share with you today. And our services have started in a regular way through Zoom. That before the vacation, that means in August, we did not have any services, but now we have started again. So next Sunday, Swami Shodhanand will speak on seeing with the eye of wisdom. That is the subject of his talk. And on Wednesday, I give a class on the Uddhava Gita, and we are almost towards the end, and soon actually Lord Krishna will exit from earth. That means after talking to Uddhava, actually he will go and leave his body. So we are coming to an end, and the last advices that he had given to Uddhava is very very interesting and inspiring. How to live after, especially when the teacher goes away, or when you are really alone for spiritual life. That advice he had given. Then on Friday, Ishwadhananda conducts that discussion group of that book of Shankaracharya that will continue. And then on Saturday, I continue with the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna. Yesterday also, actually we did not stop this discussion group, and Saturday evening discourse we continued during the vacation also, so that we shall as usual continue. So I thank you very much for joining in today's talk. So let me conclude with the benediction. Om madhuvatharitayate madhuksharanti sindhavaha madhi irno santoshadhihi madhunakta mutosasi madhumat parthivogang rajaha madhudaurastuna pita madhumanna vanaspatihi madhumagangastu surjaha madhirgavo bhavantunaha. Om Madhu, Madhu, Madhu. Sweet blood the winds and the oceans give forth blessedness. May the earths and plants bring us health and happiness. Sweet unto us with the nights and dawns. May every particle of Mother Earth be charged with blessings. May the heavens shower us with benediction. Sweet unto us with the noble forest trees, sweet unto us with the shining sun, sweet unto us with the all living creation. Om, sweetness, harmony, peace.